Hello everyone and welcome back to Beyond the Veil background information. We're doing a character profile and I've just got two more reciprocity characters for you in the character profile, and then I'll move on to the characters we've got in our Little Duchess of Hell series. So we're going to be dealing with Mobundi Monene in this one, and then we're going to do Blythe. And of course they're supposed to be contrasting characters, so I hope you will find this interesting. But please be aware, with reciprocity, one of the whole things with it is that, like, nothing's as it appears. There's and I don't want to I don't want to spoil too much. So sorry if this one feels a bit restrained or something. And yeah, I can't draw people very well. So when I was drawing um him for his profile, I drew him up one day as this really adorable looking bat, so I do apologise that looks very cute and not menacing at all. So, it was a sensation of another, a being that filled the room with darkness and smothered all light and consciousness of safety. The eyes shone out within, and they were unusual if they were pretty. And they were unsure if they would prey standing in the lair of an unbeatable predator, or, well, there was something that was a little off. Something that felt almost confused, and it almost made them curious. But wasn't Mobundi supposed to be able to soothe as much as intimidate? Quote from Reciprocity. Sorry, I've had some chocolate, and so my tongue is doing weird things in my mouth because I keep tasting chocolate. So I do apologise for the weird way I sound today and all these sudden pauses. Definitely cleaning the chocolate in my mouth. Now, Mobundi is presented as the old enemy, the main enemy, the minority that rose up to fight the oppressing leaders, but became an oppressor themselves. However, things are not so clear. They make a point when Mobundi was in control, there was actually peace for other minorities, and yet the fact he was a turned vampire and a being that chose to go against the strange sacrificial culture of the people before it is drawn as bad. They are designed to be all the scary things, particularly particular types of people with a fondness for the words militia would point out as the exact opposite of themselves. But we know that Vix will happily work for them. But then we have other more unscrupulous players that work for them too. The situation is confused because of what the militia allow others to know about it all, and by the muddied waters of mythology and demonization. Mobundi is a vampire too, which only works against him in a community that values the lighter beings of the veil compared to someone that could be linked to the dark. Now, he will be returning in this story and will be quite a surprising character. But he will be turning up a little later than where things stand right now in the story. But one of the other things I wish I could say and explain to you, but I cannot because it would be too huge a spoiler, is that Mobundi will be the one who knows exactly what is going on and might be vindicated even more because of it. But that's all I can say. It might be too much already. But rest assured, his reputation is worse and made worse by mythology, but what he's actually like is very, very different. So, name Mobundi Monene. Position Hell-Sent Vampire. Story featured in Reciprocity. Role seeming antagonist. Gender male. Description 6'7", hefty build even for his impressive height, with purple eyes and wicked black hair on dark brown skin. The hair was once kept in dreadlocks, which were expected of the gladiator caste, but upon which moving up he cut it and let it grow more naturally, and never oiled nor straightened it again. Incredibly muscular, he had a dominating stance that meant no one stepped in front of him unless they were looking for trouble. Round the veil, abilities: the ability to live forever through drinking blood, hypnotizing others and using pheromones to control them, as well as extreme speed and strength from being a turned vampire, which means he has a large bat-like form, that is pitch black with violet eyes and hideously wicked teeth. Master himself, personality: calculating, wrathful, intelligent, patient, and inexorably determined. Relations unknown. History: most of the details are shady to say the least, many of them thinking that the information has been altered over the years because of politics. What is known is that wherever he was born and whoever his family were, it made no difference because at the age of 11 he was the statistical slave and he was pushed into the mines. However, He built muscle quickly, and when it was obvious he was strong and able to battle hard, they realized they had a potential for the greatest ceremonial gladiator possible. Indeed, it was a hard rise amongst the gladiator ranks, and he was scarred badly, but as a human he did well and looked like he could defeat everyone. However, it was then one of the visiting rich from the mainland was able to come and watch, and this figure fought to get involved and turned Mobundi into a vampire. This changed everything. There were no vampires in the Fallen Isles, in the Fallen Isles, or Fallen Archipelago, and Mobundi was able to show his natural intelligence more as everyone was fearful of what he could do if wanted. He was even more terrifying in the ring, and everyone called him the boss when he was around. When he managed to make the point he'd earned enough not to be kept, he was given his freedom and worked varying jobs until he was taken in as an assistant to a very understanding politician who was trying to remove the caste system, and together they were working well. Mobundi even became a politician, and everyone was with him, especially the old gladiators that were being retired and hired into Mobundi's party. But this is where news gets confusing. There was an assassination attempt that took his party leader out, his tutor, and the closest thing he'd had to a parent. Then he was the face of the party, and their name changed from the Brotherhood of the Fallen Isles to the Failed Brotherhood, a vampire term linked generally to mobsters, but used to make the point that Bundy could be very powerful if he wanted to be. More grey areas exist here as somehow things went from politics to civil war when a majority passed bill should have ended the caste system, but the ruling party threw it out. His friend Blythe was also then pulled to the militia by the more centrist government that had wanted this policy through, but had not wanted to be overruled by a being that very quickly became incredibly dark and aggressive. There are lots of crimes and problems associated to Mabande. At one point, he held control for 4 years over Charybdis before it was bombed, and he went to his final battle against Blythe, killed Blythe, but was taken out by someone else. No one saw their bodies, of course, but they haven't been seen in over a decade. Now, one of the other points I haven't written down, but I'm going to make is with regards to the history, right? Because Mobundi is a turned vampire. He is incredibly old, so he's older than like everyone else in this. So he's been at this for a very long time. So a lot of the things that happened when he was young had stopped existing or were wiped out of the history when the militia took power. So, like, the whole slave thing was sort of like cleared up, like, oh no, it ended a while ago when it hadn't. So, it's one of those things that's going to be uh, found out by the characters soon enough. But just need you to know that Mabunde is actually incredibly old. But anyway, final comments. Okay, so just any of you are thinking anything, I will spoil this little point. But Bundy was not wrong in what he started doing, and he will be a shock when he turns up in the story, and I don't want to spoil that. A lot of the story's point is perception. So, yeah. And I know there's probably an anxiety about tropes, with the fact that how he's described and everything like that, and his experiences, but there's sort of like there's a reason for that, because it's pointing to the same problem. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you found this interesting. Thank you for listening.